Hello, everybody. It's Kelly and Jim from the X-Files Preservation Collection, and we're talking with Chris Waddell today, shop technician from the X-Files from season 3 to season 5. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Great. How are you guys this evening?
We're very good. I'm glad you could join us,
Very excited to talk to you.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the industry and how you wound up on the X-Files.
Sure. So I'm from Fredericton, New Brunswick, which is on the east coast of Canada. We're kind of adjacent to Maine, to give you an idea where we're at. I grew up mostly, my career was around the music industry. I played in bands around here. And then the guys who did lighting and sound for us, I started apprenticing with them, and that became my trade in live lighting and sound. The special effects artist who worked with the shop as well, Mike Fields, we were best friends. We grew up together. Mike practiced a lot of his effects on us, and Mike went to Florida 93 or so to Joe Blasco's school to really get great training. When he was finished there, he didn't have an American visa to continue working in the States. So looking as to what he wanted to do for work, he knew the X-Files was in Vancouver. I had spent a lot of time on the West Coast growing up. So he asked me, hey, you want to head out west with me? And, he wanted to get into the film industry out there. So we ended up moving out kind of staggered. I came out first. He came out a little bit later. I started working in my industry for for about a year or so. And then he was working for Toby Lindola. He had gone down and met Toby. At that point, Toby was looking for people, but Mike didn't get in right away. And then I think when Mike started was around the end of season 2. And so obviously the show is starting to really blow up around, the mid season 2, end of season 2, season 3, the budget started to rise. So Toby really needed people. Vancouver at the time, as much as they had, the film industry was there. It wasn't churning out the kids from the makeup schools and the film schools and all that. Right. So there was really nobody. Toby had pretty much all the people he could find. So Mike, I was in need of some work. So Mike said, Chris is a quick learner. Bring him in. I'm sure he won't be a detriment to the shop. So that's how I started working. My first day on set was filming 731. Was the train car blowing up. Yep. We didn't have anything per se for doing that, but we were working on another makeup while that was going on. So that was my first day on set, was to see the train car blow up. So
that's cool. An awesome start.
Yeah. That is an awesome start,
So you were familiar? Sounds like you were familiar with the X-Files at that point, and you kind of knew what you were getting into.
You know what? I knew about the show. I couldn't say at that point I was a really big fan. Coming from the music industry, music was sort of more important to me than TV shows. So I kind of got where Mike was excited about the show, and it was really once I got out to Vancouver and kind of got immersed in that I really started to get hooked and come into the show.
So what did they have you doing, on some of these episodes and stuff?
At the shop. So I at first I was just kind of came in as cleaning and maintaining the shop and things like that. I started helping out with doing body casts or head casts, arm casts, that kind of stuff. I would mix all the plaster and all that stuff for the guys. I then moved into doing gelatin appliances. So I'd make all of the gelatin, cook it in the microwave, get the skin tones and all of that, and pour it in the molds and make some of the gelatin pieces that we did as well. So and then a little bit later on, Toby got me into doing the stock for the shop. So all of the supplies that we needed and all that stuff, I did all the ordering for that. And then I'd find myself on set for various things. Some of them, I think I did more set work with Millennium than I did with X-Files. But I did end up on set with X-Files, and we got to play aliens in the Jose Chung episode. So that was
Awesome. And
Awesome.
favorite.
That is a
Yeah.
fan favorite episode.
Yeah, so that's awesome. It was you, Mike, and who that were the main aliens in that episode?
Doug Morrow. So in the episode, it's as you guys know, it's a really strange episode. So the aliens that we're portraying, Mike, Doug, and I, we're not actually aliens. We're actually the fighter pilot, or the UFO pilots, really, that are flying UFOs and abducting people. Toby came to us one day in the shop and just said, "Would you guys like to be aliens on an episode?" And I mean, I would have appeared as a rock in an episode,
Right.
if you ask me, kind of thing.
Right.
So to be an alien, oh yeah, we were just over the moon. And sorry, the aliens that we were representing are I was basically Scully. I think Mike was Mulder, and then Doug was the doctor, the hypnotist that sat in front. And as you see in that episode, it switches between the aliens, the humans that are hypnotized. Yep. So we represented those aliens, the kind of the main ones.
That's awesome.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So every time we interview somebody else, I always have to go rewatch the episodes with that new point of view.
Right. Yeah.
Now I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. What else that you can remember, that really stands out from working on the X-Files?
It really stands out. I'd have to say the work was incredible. So you're shooting one episode, you're doing pickup shots in second unit from another episode, and then you're getting ready for the next episode. And I was saying, like when I first came in, like there was, like Toby was, I wouldn't say hard up for people, but there was nobody to hire. So we were just at one point like 5 or 6 people working, on this episode, that episode, and this episode, and then Millennium. And then, so it was a lot of work. We worked a lot of hours, sometimes 7 days a week. The shop was home. Our shop was separate from the North Shore Studios. We were in the downtown east side in Vancouver, which is a very interesting place to have a shop. There's lots of stories that happened around that even. But yeah, it was a lot of the work, which I wouldn't change for the world. But people ask me if I miss it. I do and I don't.
Right.
Yeah, we just, you put in a lot of your life into this, and at the end you kind of weigh, what exactly did you get out? I having the X-Files and Millennium on my resume, I've gotten some jobs that maybe I probably shouldn't have even gotten, but just because I worked on the X-Files and just because I did that, they were like, yeah, you're in.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. Back then, when the X-Files came out, like you said, it took a couple years for it to get going, but once it got going, it was hold on to that rocket, because that thing took off like I've never seen anything. Me personally, I kind of compare the show and the fandom back then, the way it was, to like Star Wars. It was a juggernaut.
Right.
Yeah. It was like the #1 show on the planet at one point.
Now, what was it like? When did you, like all the rest of the crew and all that, the people you worked with, when you guys really found out the show was a monster hit? What did you guys think of that?
I think it was just impressive for us, to be working on something that was so huge. And especially in Canada, and for Mike and I, coming from such a small, insignificant place like New Brunswick, to be in Vancouver, to be working on this show that had just ballooned into this amazing series on TV. And you look back at that time period, and like the X-Files, The Simpsons, Married with Children, we're all pushing what was allowed on TV.
Yeah.
So kind of to be part of that era where they were really pushing stuff. I know Chris Carter, I think he said once that after almost after every show, he'd get a call from Standards and Practices, and they would go over all of the stuff like the blood is too red, or you can't show dead bodies with their eyes open, or, you know, all of these things. And I mean, like, look at, you know, shows like Game of Thrones or anything today. And I mean, the violence in that is just probably because
It's surreal.
we started pushing it, right?
Right. Like the episode Home, that had to have warnings and everything. And now, by today's standards, that episode is like so lame, like so
the inbred episode, you know, I mean, And it's funny that you mentioned like Standards and Practices. All right, at the X-Files Museum, we have an area, right? What we kind of dubbed the beginning, the Vancouver years, and Chris Carter's Corner, because Chris Carter, of course, is the father of the X-Files. Right. And we've got letters from Fox, you know, to 1013 Productions, Chris Carter, warning them about certain bad words were being said. Don't let it happen again.
Certain, like, you can't do this subject.
Yeah.
It's a story in one of our interviews. I can't remember the episode, but they didn't like the subject. So he just like changed. He didn't change a single word of the script. He just told them it was about something else. Like he just twisted it a little and they got it through. Yeah. That's such a funny story. I'm going to have to rewatch that interview now.
Yeah.
To remember.
There's some paper. We got some stuff on display there where, you know, Chris is kind of getting reprimanded, you know, by Standards and Practices, you know, don't.
He really didn't have to fight for everything.
You know, you know, it is amazing compared to what I tell fans that come into the museum. I go, you got to realize back then it was a different time.
Yeah.
X-Files pushed, you know, opened that door. And, you know, when they were on Fox, you know, that was a different network. You know, it wasn't your ABC, NBC, the old school style, you know, and then people seeing all the stuff from like the Vancouver years and everything, people's minds get blown when they see all that stuff, you know, and when they see physical props, not the CGI stuff, physical props and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, today alone, you know, I mean, the museum was pretty busy and these fans came in there. They were just blown away by the detail and the time, you know.
The detail blows me away still. I mean, you guys put so much detail and like everything is so realistic. It blows my mind. I mean, it just blows my mind. And I like, even for like the movie where they built the alien pods, I know you didn't work on the movie, but there's like a small steel beam in that.
There's 2 steel beams in it.
And I'm like, you guys knew you had to take that down eventually, right? What were you thinking? But they didn't want that to move. You know, and like the detail, like there's a fetus, but that's in the later years. I'm trying to think of something from the very beginning that's like so detailed. Like we have like ears and stuff that are like.
We have that was from Chris Carter, the pilot episode, the mammalian corpse that was in the casket from the very first episode and stuff. And it's just like, you know, I mean, when you look at it, it's just like, wow, it's crazy, you know, and stuff that you would see for
a second,
30 seconds, you know, it's crazy, you know.
The Home episode, when we got the script for that and we got the breakdown of what we were going to be doing, we're like, they can't show this on TV. Like, this isn't gonna, like, this is insane. Like, we just couldn't believe, like, a mutant baby. Like, we're just like, and we were loving it. We were like, oh my God, this is freaking awesome. But we were like, how are they going to show this? You know, kind of thing. And the Home episode, even over Jose Chungs, like, it's just so memorable because it's so messed up, right?
Yeah.
And that was another crazy episode to work on. Millennium as well, just because of its topic, its nature with serial killers and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing like eviscerated, like women quartered and like duct tape. And, like, it was just absolutely, again, we couldn't believe that they were going to be able to show this on TV. So we're very happy when they did too. So
Yeah.
It's good that they did, because the X-Files really put Fox Network on the map. You know,
Definitely.
it really just put the stamp on Fox, you know, that, I mean, Fox was doing okay with shows like, you know, Married with Children, The Simpsons and stuff like that. But the X-Files, forget it, you know, it really put the seal of approval, you know.
Yep, definitely. I forgot. I was just about to say something and I forgot.
I cut you off. I'm so sorry. You know.
Oh, could you tell us a little bit more? Like you were talking about the gelatin apparatuses and stuff. Like, could you give us a little more information about what those are? Because the fans don't know, right?
Sure.
So what kind of things would you use those for and stuff like that?
So today, and I've been out of the industry for quite some time. But I think today a lot of the appliances that they're using are usually silicone. Silicone is beautiful. We started working with it a little bit more towards the end, like the end of season 4, 5, 6 kind of thing. And before that, we were using things like gelatin appliances, and gelatin appliances are super easy to make. It's a different bloom than the Jello that you use, you know, that you would consume. You probably could eat one of our props. I wouldn't recommend it, but you'd probably get away with it and be all right. So yeah, the gelatin was just, again, super easy to make, and you can add makeup to it. The only other problem is that it's kind of unstable towards heat. So when you get on set under the lights and stuff, you have to be very careful, because we had products that kind of started to melt down just under the heat of the lights. Some of the other things that we used for skin flex, which was a very, very toxic material. And so in the good part and bad part about working on the X-Files, my bad part that I would say, and I think it would also go for a lot of the other people that were on Toby's crew, is just dealing with those chemicals, because some of them were really, really, really bad. And I started to see that once I started doing the ordering for the shop, because I was seeing the WAMIS material, the material safety data sheets that came with stuff. And I was like, holy crap, like this stuff's really, really, really kind of like not safe to play with kind of shit. And so gelatin, skin flex, can't remember what else we would have used, but those are the kind of things that we were making to use for, you know, like alien skin or human skin.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, very interesting. That's
I'm very interested in how you guys made all this stuff happen, you know.
Right.
That's like my interest in it. Like, how did you make this happen? How did you do that?
Did you have any interactions with any, you know, the co-stars, the stars, or anybody? Did you come across any of that?
A little bit here and there. David was always really fond of what we did. He's got a little sick mind, that guy. Sometimes he's a little work. Great guy, obviously, but yeah, he was super appreciative of what we did. Lance Henriksen from Millennium also, he was always super appreciative. I mean, and more so than David Duchovny, Lance comes from, you know, like a horror movie background. So he's worked with a lot of stuff that we were making. So it was always cool. Like he'd always pop by and take a look at what we were doing and give us a thumbs up on it, that kind of thing. Jillian, I didn't interact with too much. I was talking to Jesse the other day. There's a picture somewhere. There should be a picture somewhere where I'm in my Jose Chungs gear, the alien suit, and I actually had a picture taken with Piper, her daughter, who maybe would have been 1 or 2 years old about that time.
That's so awesome. And, you know, she's went on to work on the revival. So in the art department. Well, that's kind of like, you know, cool little loop-de-loo.
Yeah. You know, it's just really interesting, you know, and we love hearing the backstories and all that stuff, you know. Were you lucky enough at all by some chance? Did you meet Chris Carter?
Yeah, I met Chris Carter a couple of times at our rap parties.
Awesome.
And the rap parties were always interesting. So
tell us about the rap parties.
Well, I was gonna say, so you can tell, like, from interviewing Gideon and Jeff Redknapp, we're like long-haired guys.
Yeah.
A lot of us, like, a lot of us were big music geeks.
Right
So
here.
yeah, we had this look about us, right? And
Yeah.
like yourself. And whenever we showed up to set, and again, like, we did all of our work off of the filming studio a lot. So we were always showing up with something fairly disgusting, right? So with the cast and crew, not that we weren't liked, but we're just kind of this oddball group that showed up with gross stuff. So at the wrap parties, we were always usually by ourselves, but Chris Carter would always come over, and he'd always, just talk about the year that we had and thank us for the work. So that, yeah, I mean, that means the world when you have the creator just taking his time to pop by and just say, hey, thumbs up, guys. Like, we really appreciate what you do and keep it up, kind of thing.
Yeah, we know, what that means, Chris Carter and, the thumbs up, because, when he came to the grand opening, it was like
Meant the world to us.
the Holy Grail,
Yeah.
And experiencing, the grand opening and Chris going in there. He was the very first person to go in and see everything. And his reactions and his thoughts were just, it was impressive. It was impressive. And it's a moment in my life I will never forget.
I can imagine. Yeah. To have his blessing. And he must have been probably, I mean, I don't know how much stuff you guys had at the time you opened, but he must have been impressed with how you guys managed to get everything.
Yeah, definitely. He was emotional about it.
Yeah.
He's incredibly humble also, because he was meeting the fans at the grand opening, and he kept asking me, he's like, is the line really still that long? Kelly, go check. Is the line really still that long? I'm like, Chris, yeah, you're Chris Carter. The line's that long.
And I mean, he's amazed that people still watch the show. And the show, this really surprises me, is, young generation nowadays, don't watch a lot of older stuff. That's from what I've experienced. But the museum is bringing in kids that are 14 and 15, and they're like
just finding the show,
and they're like blown away by it, and I ask them, and I'm like, what is your thoughts of the show? Be honest, and they're like, besides the outdated cell phones and the shoulder pads, they said the show is absolutely fantastic.
Crazy.
And that's pretty cool, because I mean, that's a generation that's more used to like CGI effects.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Around the time that we were doing this, CGI was, starting to come into films a lot more. And we did get asked every once in a while, like, are you guys worried that you're going to be replaced at some point by CGI? And we weren't really too super worried at the point. And I don't think that we had the foresight to necessarily see that. What I found is for a while, like the late 1990s, CGI really kind of took over movies. But then after that, they started to find the blend between the two, between practical and CGI, and how well they could work together, like the Lord of the Rings stuff, all those kind of things. And I'm just really glad that I don't think that special effects makeup will ever die off. I think that you're going to need it in one way or another. And you look at The Last Temptation of Christ, and the flogging of Jesus, the way they did that, where they put the effect on first, put on CGI skin, and then for every whip, it takes a little bit of the CGI skin off, revealing the makeup effects underneath. So you're still in that world, and you've got the technology on top of it. So
right.
I think that's a great marriage between the two technologies.
Definitely.
Right. I'm a physical prop kind of guy, when the CGI stuff came out, I was not a fan at all, and when you get into like kind of like the horror aspect, the horror movies and stuff like that, nothing is going to take the place of prop guys and props and stuff like that. Makeup people. No, you need that.
I think a good example is the Mummy movies. Brendan Fraser, the first one, and the second. Oh, well, the Scorpion King. Like,
the Scorpion King. Oh, that one scene. Where Dwayne Johnson comes out. He's the Scorpion. Oh my God, that was just yeah.
You got to look at it and go, geez, I can't believe you actually put that out there, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, where were did you guys screen this first, and test it out? And
that was like, the best at the time kind of thing, right? Like, I mean, maybe not the best, but whatever they could afford or, whatever.
Yeah, I remember that all too well. I saw that in the theaters.
But that episode had the crocodile or alligator, whatever it was. And we had a scene, the ending scene, I think, is Mulder, shoots it. Right. And I had rigged up the gator, just kind of like, when it's being shot at, that it's just kind of, being hit kind of thing. We had the director out and we were showing him what we were going to be doing. Tim Manners. Yeah. Tim Manners.
Huh. That was my guess.
Kim, as you probably know, Kim's was quite a director. Action! Like a lot of yelling and stuff like that. Roy McGregor, who was another guy who worked at the shop, we were out with the alligator in the rainforest, and kind of showing Kim what our what our setup is going to look like. And Roy, for some reason, like lays down on the ground, like where the alligator is going to be. And he's kind of like, hey, picture me as the alligator. Kim's just kind of looking at him on the ground like, well, you're not an alligator, kind of thing. So that was a little bit funny. He was funny to work with, although a little bit stressful. He's a little intense.
Yeah.
But that was a very, very good episode. We really enjoyed that episode a lot.
Right. I need to find those feet when the shop owner.
Yeah.
I need those. You know who has those?
I don't think that we made those. I don't know. I don't know if the props maybe might have done those, but I don't recall us making those boots. We were mostly doing like the gator and the sea monster.
Well, there was two things, besides the feet that made the impressions in the mud. There's another prop there's several props, but another prop that is most likely long gone.
Is it mine?
It was a big blue blow up that sat on top of the bait shop.
Oh God, I would kill for that. I would.
Yeah, that is probably long gone because that was a big blow up thing,
Right.
But
I'd love to get my hands on that. So badly want to put it right on top of the museum, right on the roof of the museum. Big blue blow up.
One of the things about so working with Toby, like Toby didn't want the stardom, he didn't want the fame. We were like, man, like write a book, like all this stuff. Like the world is your oyster right now, bro. And when we were moving shops from the downtown east side, I think it was to Coquitlam, just outside of Vancouver, where they went to, like how we ended up, like Mike and I and some of the rest of us that ended up with these props. Unbelievably, and this may be shocking to you too, but you would not believe the things that went into the dumpster.
Oh, we would.
We would believe that. And
we have heard.
Yeah, we've heard.
It breaks our hearts.
Yes.
and I mean, and not just like that happening at the shop, but things like, so the episode Grotesque with all the gargoyles.
Yeah.
I don't know if Gideon, I can't remember if he talked about sculpting, he sculpted most of those gargoyles. And at the time we wanted to kind of dress up the shop a little bit and have a display of, some of the things from the show, some of the props from the show. And when we went to get those sculptures, like they had gone with a bobcat, like one of those small bobcats, and just like, it was just a pile of clay, all just mountainous in the middle of the room. And everything was destroyed.
That makes the one that we managed to get.
We have one of the heads.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, we have one of the heads.
One of the gargoyle heads, yep.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Now, here's something. Did you know that when Mulder has the flashlight in his mouth and he's taking the clay off of that, did you know that the face that's underneath is Gillian Anderson?
That's Gideon was telling us that there's one gargoyle head that's actually Jillian's head that he put, he did a little extra to.
Yep.
Yeah, that is the same.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Gideon did mention something like that.
Yeah.
It is pretty funny.
That's crazy funny. Now we definitely have to rewatch that episode again.
Yes, definitely.
Every time I talk to somebody.
I've got season 3 box set. And every once in a while I'll go back and just like, oh geez, like just some of the things you totally forgot that we did, like whether it's like, like a finger rig bleeding or something like that, but just all of these little things here and there that we did. Yeah, that I just totally forget about until I see the episodes again. And it brings like a lot of memories.
I was just gonna say, what's the experience? What's the experience when you like rewatch some of the episodes? I mean, what goes through your mind and stuff?
Just like some of them, like just how long or how hard it was to pull off the effect. The War of the Cockroach, I can never pronounce that. The cockroach episode.
Yeah.
So the gag where the cockroach to his arm and then comes up there, like we spent like so much time trying to get that right and work out how we were going to do it and make it look good. Everything from gelatin, silicone, it took a while. I don't know if you know, and I don't know if there's something we could talk about or maybe edit it out or whatever. Mike and I actually I've got VHS tapes full of behind the scenes, our work at the shop, as well as filming on set.
That's very interesting.
So
I want to know though, how did you finally make that happen? What did you guys end up doing with that?
It was basically, so what we did a core that was a fiberglass arm that had a channel cut out, and then it had, I believe it was gelatin skin over top. And so basically you did the little cut there, it went in, and then we had a little rig that we could pull it up through the arm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's definitely a scene.
Yeah, it is definitely, I mean, we get people coming in and stuff like that, and believe it or not, I mean, whether they're 20, I've had people come in there that are like 50 and they're watching the show for the first time. And like some of the scenes and stuff, of course everybody talks about the home episode. There has been a couple people that have phobias of cockroaches. They watch it and they're completely freaked out by that.
The one that runs across the screen.
That was a great touch. You know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of, I think it was movie Gremlins. I think it was Gremlins 2. They kind of did something like that in Gremlins 2, But the roach thing across the screen for the first time viewing it, you really thought something was coming across your goddamn television. You did. It was great. But some of the fans that they see some of these episodes for the first time, they're astonished. And I'm like, that's the people behind the camera for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Without you guys.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite thing that you worked on with the show? Like the thing you were like, or maybe one, or do you have a thing that you like just was up the pits and you were so happy to be done with it?
The sea serpent head is one thing. the Quagmire episode. We were out one evening or a day, and it poured and poured and poured and poured. 5 of us went to like Home Depot just because the rain gear that we had on was soaked, and had to upgrade our rain gear to get because it was a soaking day. some of the effects weren't working right. We got yelled at. I had nightmares for three nights after that episode. After we
Wow.
got filming that, about being in the rain and by the lake in the dark and stuff like that. So again, when I saw that head, I'm like, that head's mine. I'm taking that with me. So I always had this
All your
one.
hard work paid off because that's, like I said, a fan.
Yeah, we got what do we got? The bait shop owner in that episode, and show us your bobber's hat.
Yeah.
We got a hat from him, and one of the souvenir hats he was selling in his bait shop.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're definitely always looking to add to, especially that episode, because it's such a freaking great episode.
I designed, so for Jose Chung, Lord Kimboat, the Ray Harryhausen homage,
Yeah.
his legs, the kind of goat leg, I designed the rig for that, which was actually based off of, so when they first shot Predator, they had that kind of design for the Predator legs, and it didn't work. It was like they had to completely redo Predator, and you end up what we know of today. But
Right.
originally he was supposed to have these goat leg type legs that just didn't work. And for the episode, and Toby actually gave me an article that was like talking about these legs, and he's like, these are the legs that I want to build. And I was like, well, they got fired for this, on this movie, the guys that did this. So we designed something that ended up that worked. I've got some video around of me running around the shop on these like little stilt legs, and they were upgraded for what Tony Morelli wore underneath that big foam latex Lord Kimboat suit. So that was something I was proud of. Not X-Files, but Millennium. There's a couple of episodes that over the course of the episode, there's a demon. And they sometimes show him. So the big bat demon wings that he had that folded and unfolded, I did those as well.
Wow. Awesome.
So I'm proud of those. And then just for just favorite episode, Jose Chung, just the honor of being able to play an alien on X-Files. I mean, I would have been happy if they put me in a corner for the episode. It's kind of messed up. In the episode, the guy and the girl sitting in the car, shooting wise, I was on the passenger side, and they show me looking in, and Doug was on the driver's side, and they show him reach in. When they did the scene where they're being dragged on the road by the aliens, Doug wasn't able to make it for that shoot. So he wasn't even part of the shop. I think they might have got him from casting a guy named Cornelius, this funny Scottish guy. He stood in for Doug, but because he was a little shorter than I was, and I'm only 5'6" or so, and Doug was about the same height, I ended up being on Doug's side, so the driver's side, and Cornelius took my spot. So even though I start off at the girl's side, when you see us dragging them down the road, I'm actually dragging the guy, and Cornelius is dragging the girlfriend. So that was kind of a neat little thing. The episode where she's in bed and her nose starts to bleed, and she looks down, and the alien lunges out. That's me. I'm
nice. See, this is what we.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And then in the scenes inside the spaceship where she's hypnotized and she's sitting down in front of the aliens, it's kind of a triangle. So Doug was in the center, Mike was to his left behind him, an extra alien just from casting. In a more generic makeup. It wasn't quite as robust as what we were wearing for suits. I don't think they had the animatronic eyes in theirs. So that's on the right beside Mike. And then I was behind Mike. And I'm the alien that comes forward and whispers in his ear, in the alien's ear. So that's me that comes forward in that scene. And then Mike, the lucky SOB, he's the cigarette smoking alien.
Nice.
Which I thought was a little bit of a ripoff because Mike didn't smoke cigarettes and I did. I was like, I smoke cigarettes, but Mike was higher up at the top, and Mike was closer to Toby, so Mike got that part. And I mean, heck, there's I think Randy Bowen did a model kit of the cigarette smoking alien.
Yes, the smoking alien.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have been able.
It could have been you.
What's that? Yeah.
Yes, but yeah,
interesting. Now we know it's Mike, though.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that episode is, I get fans coming in all the time. We have the production used, the head, the Lord Kinobot head.
Really?
Yes, we have that. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That was a great, surprising get. I was really excited to get that, and the fans come in, they see it, and that's just that episode. They talk about the whole thing, and I mean, everybody every day at least comes in is either Clyde Bruckman, and just certain episodes. I get some people, like I got what was it? I think it was today or yesterday. Somebody actually came in and said grotesque, which kind of surprised me a little bit,
Right. Yeah.
There's some certain episodes that, people have their fan favorites, and it's like they throw you a curveball, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
So I have to ask this question.
Yep, she does.
Is there any chance that I'm pretty sure you did, because it happened while you were there, but you may not even remember it because it's not a fan favorite. But one of my favorite episodes is DPO. That's the episode where the guy got hit by lightning and now he can control the lightning.
That was season 2, I believe.
No, I think that's
2, 3.
Do you remember working on that at all? Did you do anything with that? I mean, you had some pretty good scarring and stuff.
I didn't. And so that's got Jack Black.
Yes.
Yep. Jack Black, Giovanni Ribisi. Yeah.
And I remembered that Jack Black was, I mean, I didn't know who he was at the time, but I did remember that he was in it. And then, of course, Giovanni went on to do amazing things. And just kind of on that, like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, right.
Episode. Lucy Liu, I believe, was in that episode.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that. That's something I like rewatching again now. I was like, holy crap, that's Lucy Liu.
I'll throw you a curveball. In the episode, there was an episode.com. That's where Mulder and Scully get on a boat and they get old really, really, really fast. The water's contaminated,
What season was that?
That was around, I believe, season, let's say 3 or 4, around season 3. Yeah. There was flashback scenes to like the old military and stuff, like World War II and all that stuff, the Navy, and some of the crew in the flashback scene were infected with the water and stuff like that, and one of the crew guys was the singer Michael Bublé, the musician. He was a background guy.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Do you know that Dave Grohl did a walk-on appearance?
Dave Grohl did?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I think season 1 or season 2. It was early. It was before we were there. And yeah, he just does like a walkthrough on the screen kind of thing.
Huh, did not know that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, did not. I remember, and we've talked to a lot of people and stuff like that. You had there was so many like, celebrities. They were
my God
in the show,
Yeah. So many people like got their start there, it's so fun to rewatch and see.
And even stuff like, I mean, we didn't even know that Jesse Ventura and Alex Trebek, like we were on set when they were doing their thing, but we had no idea that they had even, come and that we're on the show kind of thing.
I mean, who would ever thought make an episode and throw Jesse Ventura and then Trebek together?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Who thought of that? Like, they did a good job.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It is pretty funny.
But yeah, if you know anyone that worked on DPO, I'd like to talk to them.
Michael did, and I remember Michael was talking about how Giovanni was really huge into heavy metal, and there was one night where they're out in the field, and Mike said that Giovanni like went right out, and he like stood his arms out, he's like, "Rain and blood," like Slayer kind of thing.
Yeah.
So so that was cool. And it's always cool, when you meet some of the people that are in the same music that you are.
Definitely.
and that kind of
I'm a big
stuff.
metal fan, just so you know. So
Excellent. Me
that's
too.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Off aside of that, one of the things that I found, what I called the X-Files weight, and you could use this. I tried to use my discretion. So back in the day, Mike and I were both big Marilyn Manson fans. When Mike was in Florida, he used to see them before they got famous, like walking around the comic book stores and stuff like that. And we had seen them open with 9 Inch Nails. And then when he did the Antichrist Superstar tour and they were coming, it was right around Christmas time in Vancouver. Mike and I had already gotten our tickets. And Mike, just on the side, was sculpting model kits at that point. And he had done several different model kits that were based off of Manson songs off a portrait of an American family. And we were kind of like, it'd be really cool if we could get these to him, to Manson. So my whole thinking on the idea is that everybody's got a phone. If you're in an office, you got a phone on your desk. So I just looked at the CD case and I called Interscope Records and I said, we're, a couple of guys from the X-Files. We already have our tickets. We're not looking for a free ride in to see the show or anything like that. But we have some stuff that Mike has done that we'd like to give to Marilyn Manson. And they were like, yeah, sure. That'd be great kind of thing. And then a day or two later, they called back and asked us if we could make some props. They were doing a record store signing, and also they asked for a couple of things for the tour. So Mike had done, and this was something completely unrelated. We had written a script called Mutant Baby. We wanted to do this Mutant Baby movie, and Mike had one of the prototypes. So he gave that to Manson, and that's actually was in the record store. We had some severed monkey heads. They were severed and lobotomized monkey heads. The alien baby, the mutant baby, and the band themselves, they asked for this. They wanted 5 severed and skinned penises.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So we did some penises, and when I talked so the day of the show, we're working at the shop at Toby's, and there's a phone call. I get the phone call, and it's Manson's manager, and they're calling from the record store, and he's saying, look, we're going to be late. What had happened was all the kids that were lined up for the signing were pressing on the windows, and one of the windows gave way, and this little riot broke out, and the kids had gone around back into the alleyway and completely destroyed the van that they had come in. So they had no way to leave. They were trapped in the record store.
Wow.
And so he was just like, we're going to be a little bit late, kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. So, and that was kind of cool because when that little mini riot broke out on the news that night, they showed the inside, and you can see Mike and I's, our severed monkey heads and all that stuff. So we were like, man, we got cross Canada coverage on this.
Good stuff.
And then when we got to the forum, I talked to Teresa Blackwell, who was the Fredericton Interscope rep. And she said, the guys are backstage playing with their penises. And another funny story that comes out of that, there's a Rolling Stone magazine article. The band Rasputina, I don't know if you remember them. They played cellos. They were kind of a heavy metal, cello. Manson had them on tour for a bit with them. There's an article in which she talks about going into Manson's dressing room, and she's surrounded by severed penises and monkey heads. So that was another kind of cool
That's
thing.
That's awesome.
That happened with that. So being able to use that X-Files weight to kind of get in there.
Yeah.
It was a neat kind of power to have, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah,
That paid off for you.
Oh yeah. I remember the Antichrist Superstar tour. I remember that tour. That's he was something back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in a bit of trouble now, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit. Hopefully he gets out of it.
He was a great guy. We met with him before the show that first night, and he was, we talked about the X-Files, and we talked about the industry and stuff like that. Then that night for the after party, they actually were going to record for the Lost Highway soundtrack. I think it's Apple of Sodom is what they recorded. But so they weren't going to the after party because they had to go to the recording studio for that. And then in the spring, I was surprised. I came home one day and I had my roommate said that there was a message on the phone from Manson's people. And when they came back to town, they called and asked if we wanted to come down and hang out for a bit. So that was really cool. Like just be able to present them, but
right.
Like we didn't even have tickets for that show when they came back or anything. So for them to call up and just say, "Hey, do you guys want to come down?" We're like, "Hell, yeah, sure."
Yeah.
I always said Manson, people don't give him credit. He's a lot smarter than people think he is. And his music, his videos, I always said that I would love to see him make a horror movie because I think it would be total insanity.
My vision, the one that I've had for the best movie with a lot of heavy metal artists, I want them to redo Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh. Now
and have like Marilyn Manson, Nurgle from Behemoth, Rob Halford from Judas Priest. Like I've got to kind of who each character would be.
Yeah. I could imagine what that would look like. I would definitely check it out. And
I'm a big, like, I love Jesus Christ Superstar. Like I grew up with like Godspell and Jesus Christ Superstar. So I love the movie. I think it's great, but I would just like to see that flip side of it done. I don't know if Andrew Lloyd Webber would go for that, but
probably not. Yeah.
Well, it might take some work, some pitching, a little marketing, maybe.
All right, I'm about, you got anything else?
I have to ask one more question.
Oh, yeah, this is the main question.
Well, actually, I have two more questions.
All right, go ahead.
First of all, I already asked about DPO, but I don't know, I'm trying to remember. I think you might have worked on the episode Chinga.
That's season 5. Yeah, that's season 5.
The Stephen King one with the doll and the little girl.
I don't think so.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I knew that was kind of like right on the border of when you stopped working on it.
Yeah, towards somewhere in season 5, I was taking some stuff to our truck, our effects truck, and when I stepped up into the truck, I don't know if my hand slipped or my foot slipped, but I slipped and I fell on my side, and we had this big bay door in the shop, and Toby had just gotten his dog. And so the bay door was open just a bit, and I had this piece of plywood that was stopping the dog. And I fell off the truck onto that plywood and snapped the plywood in half. And I cracked a couple of ribs and broke a couple of ribs. So that was actually when I left the show, actually, was due to my ribs being busted up.
That's awful.
Yeah, it was kind of a sad way to leave, but that's the way it happened. It was kind of serendipitous. A little while later, I got hired by Electronic Arts Canada. I had a friend of mine that worked there, and they have their main headquarters in Burnaby, which was actually like about 2 blocks from my house. So I actually ended up getting a job there. That was, fireworks going off. That was one of those jobs where I went for an interview, and I didn't own a computer console. I'd never owned a game console. I didn't play video games, but you worked on the X-Files, you're hired. So I was hired by Electronic Arts, and when I started to look around, they had motion capture. And you're familiar with what motion capture is. And again, so Don Matrick, the president of Electronic Arts Canada, he's the one who started the company in Canada. His mother was still head of the human resources, and I went to see her with my X-Files resume. And when I put that down on the table, her eyes just, "Oh my God, you did this." I was like, I was part of this. I didn't do all of this, but I was part of it.
Right.
She picked up the phone right then and there to the motion capture manager and said, "You have to meet this guy. You have to sit down and talk with him." And so I sat and I met with Evan Hirsch. And again, I had no experience whatsoever with them, and nothing in motion capture. At the time, motion capture, you couldn't even take a course. Most of Electronic Arts program was all proprietary stuff. So Evan saw in me again that I'm a quick learner, and he said, you know what, that you don't know is actually great because I can mold you. And so he took me into motion capture. So I've been very, very, very fortunate. Before the X-Files, I got to do some cool stuff. But then because of working on that show, I mean, probably for a lot of people that worked on the X-Files afterwards, just having that on your resume, like, probably opened a lot of doors for people.
Awesome.
Right?
That's good. That's really good.
And then I have to ask this question. I know that I don't know how big of a fan of the X-Files you are. I know you didn't watch it like religiously, like some of us.
Yeah.
But we got to say, are you a mythology fan or a Monster of the Week fan?
Oh boy. I'm a skeptic. I've grown up, with ghosts and monsters and all of UFOs and aliens and all this stuff, but I've never seen anything personally. I would love to see something. I would love to see a UFO or something. I find today, with computers, like, you can show me a picture of a UFO, but a 12-year-old could do that. A
Right.
12-year-old can make a video of that. Like, so unless I see it with my eyes, it's really hard for me to. I want to believe.
Yeah, there you go. It's perfect.
There you go. Yeah.
That's definitely perfect.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a privilege, an absolute privilege.
I could talk for hours. Like, I could write a book on the Jose Chung episode. There's so much stuff. So if you ever want to talk again, I'm totally open to talk about any of this stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're ever in the States and upstate New York.
Yeah, we're real close.
Yeah, we're not too far away.
Right. Would love to have you at the museum, and